We're good.
Great. Open up. Go.
Great.
I would say welcome to the public budget hearing of the 2025-26 school budget. Michelle Brown, Director of Business Services and Operations, will be presenting to the community and to the board our public hearing for the school district budget.
Thank you. Thank you. We're gonna go through a presentation and I really appreciate all of the questions that I've received the last several days. They've been very helpful to clearly define what needs to be told.
Thanks, Michelle.
I'm not confident your hypo. And hard to find some people to help.
What's that? What's that?
I don't think so.
So, well, let's do it again. How's
Hello.
that? Hello. Is that any better? It is, you're just, yeah, it's very low.
It's quiet, yeah.
Okay. All right, this is a presentation, it covers the other documents that you have, in the packet. So, we'll go through here. First of all, this is the budget publication that was posted in the Journal Sentinel and in the North Shore on the 14th of October and the 22nd. 14th in the Journal Sentinel and the 22nd in the North Shore. Talking about fund types, our budget, according to the Wisconsin Uniform Financial Accounting Requirements, also known as WUFR. We use fund accounting and we use several funds. There are additional funds, but these are the funds that the district uses. We use the general fund, that is to account for financial transactions for current operations and instruction. And these are all we call the general fund, all the general expenditures and revenues. Special revenue fund, we use this to account for student activities that are not open to the community, and then clubs as well as gifts and donations. Then we have the special education fund. It's used to account for excess costs of providing special education and related services for students with disabilities. So any cost attributable to address the needs of students with special education. The general education piece is separate from that. Non-referendum debt, this is used to account Fund 38 to account for transactions related to non-referendum debt. Then Fund 46, long-term capital improvement. This is to account for long-term capital improvement projects approved by the board and listed on the capital improvement plan. Fund 50, the food service fund, is used to account for transactions related to the school food service program. And then Fund 80, the community service fund, this is used to account for activities open to the community. This is the 25-26 budget timeline, ongoing budget work. Budgeting is a years-long process with projections spanning out several years, and as soon as one budget is passed, then we begin more detailed planning for the next year. These are some of the key dates that markers that we hit in this budget process. And then these are some budget items to note for the 25-26 year. The per pupil increase on the revenue limit, this was part of the biennium budget, and that allows us to have a $325 per pupil increase for the 25-26 year. This is a 2.5% increase, and the increase is lower than the CPI of 2.95. So again, even though we're getting some increase from the state budget, it's not allowing us to keep pace with inflation. Voucher and special needs scholarships. Payments increased 34% from last year. They were $724,268. And now the fiscal year 26, they are $968,804. These amounts are levied and expended in the general fund. Payments are 5% of the general fund fund budget for fiscal year 26. Transfers are expenditures made from the general fund to other funds to ensure that there is not a negative fund balance. Fund 27 is not allowed to have a fund balance and must have a transfer each year to be balanced. The other main revenues in Fund 27, which we'll get to later in the presentation, but they're categorical aid and then federal grants. And they do not provide the same amount as expenditure, so we need that transfer. There's other funds too, if they were to go negative, we would have to make a transfer to them as well. State aid, the district's October 15th certified state aid increased by 1,600% from $112,408 in fiscal year 25 to $1,916,026 for fiscal year 26. The increase is due to an increase in membership and a decline in May certified property values used in the formula. Balanced budget, the 25-26 general fund has a balanced, but is balanced. The voter approved 4.5 million operational referendum made this possible. Fund 80 is intentionally budgeted with a deficit. Any costs above revenues will pull from the fund balance. Compensation increases, the board approved a commitment for salaries to be a minimum of 90% of our area max for each position type. Staff received a minimum 2.95 increase. Then these are the resident counts used in the revenue limit calculation. They may seem somewhat confusing. They're separated out and they're used in different formulas, and we're looking at what's used in the revenue limit calculation. So I've shown 5 years because there's 2 3-year averages that are used in the calculation, and they pull from these numbers. So the 25-26, we saw a September FTE of 932, 40% of summer school FTE 6. This year we had no independent charter school students. The last 2 years we did, but this year we do not. The 3-year average used in the revenue limit is 936. So the count for the revenue limit in the one cell, you would see 938, but we're looking at the 3-year average of 936. And they subtract out as well the independent charter school students for those populations. This is a short brief look at the revenue limit calculation, how it's changed each year and calculated. We look at the resident membership, FTE, times the per pupil amount of 13,613.
I can help point this out.
Oh,
Here we go.
it's-
So
Yeah, we lost our title.
pupil count. Next one.
Per pupil amount.
Per pupil amount is 13,613.
The one-time non-reoccurring exemptions.
Oh, that's.
And then we did not have any ongoing recurring exceptions, so that's 0. And then the total revenue limit authority that the district has this year. Thank you. So once we have that number, that allowable limited revenue, then there are certain things that come off of there to determine what we can levy in Fund 10. So we have the revenue limit, all exemptions this year, 18,311,000. The general equalization aid of 1,916,026. Then the exempt computer aid of 311,719. Exempt personal property aid, $262,029. So then we have the total aid used in the computation So that 2,489,774 is subtracted from that revenue limit all exemption. So we're receiving that aid, but then we subtract that and we come to the allowable limited revenue of 15,821,549. And then we have non-referendum debt levy of 1,085,513. And then that balance, that remaining amount is what we levy in Fund 10. We have some key budget factors that come into play in the budget. Per pupil revenue limit increase of 325 that we talked about, September 19th membership FTE of 932, 40% of summer school membership FTE of 6, our open enrollment out FTE of 93, our open enrollment in FTE of 57, and our private school vouchers and special needs scholarships of 968,804, our certified aid of 1,916,026, and 4.5 million non-reoccurring referendum. This is the last year of that voter approved 2-year $9 million referendum operational, and then property values. So now we'll get into the funds. See the beginning fund balance, revenues, expenditures, and ending fund balance, and then put the previous year here as a comparison for you. So last year, we started the year with a negative $1,871,249 fund balance. We brought in revenues of $27,243,461. That included the $6 million state trust fund loan. And then we had expenditures of $18,090,635 for an ending fund balance of $7,281,577. So that's what we're starting the year with. And this year we're looking at, we're budgeting revenues and expenditures the same at $19,027,039 for a balanced budget. So the ending fund balance will be the same. This is the breakout of the revenues by source, showing the 25-26 year with revenues of $19,027,039, and then the 24-25 year with the $27,243,461. So the current budget, we're looking at 77% of revenues coming from local taxes, fees, investments, and then 17% from state aid. That's library aid, transportation aid, the equalization aid, per pupil aid, and any state grants. And then other consists of federal financing, E-rate, open enrollment. So in 24-25, you can see the difference. Local revenues were 67%. You also have to take into account that revenues were higher last year. And then state was 6%. And one of the main reasons, in addition to the revenues being higher, but our aid was so much smaller last year, state aid. And then other federal financing, E-rate, open enrollment was 27%. And the main reason that was so large is we had the $6 million loan that was in that other category. And this is general fund 10 expenditures by object. So the largest piece, 57%, is salaries and benefits, and then 13% services. Supplies and equipment is 4%, and then vouchers are 5% of our budget. And open enrollment is 6% of our budget expenditures, and then the transfer, in this budget, there's a transfer to Fund 27, and that is 13% of our general fund budget. And then all other is 2% of the budget. So those are the way the expenditures are broken down in the general. Fund 21, our special revenue fund. This year, we started with a fund balance of 56,108. Revenues and expenditures budgeted for 45,000, ending with the same fund balance, 56,108. Fund 27, our special education fund, we're not allowed to have a fund balance here, so we started the year with a 0 fund balance, and revenues and expenditures are budgeted for $4,441,692. And there's a transfer, the revenues include a transfer of $2,526,654 from the general fund into Fund 27. This is a breakout of revenues by source for Fund 27. Again, the 2 different years, 25, 26, and then the 24, 25 year. Local consists of the transfer from Fund 10. That's 77, budgeted to be 77% this year, and last year was 67%. And then state categorical aid and grant, this is budgeted to be 17%. The state did in the budget increase the categorical aid reimbursement for special education to 42%. And we've been told or advised that we probably should count on no more than 39.5%. As this is shared across the state versus one pot, it's, yeah. And then other federal grants and Medicaid budgeted this year for 6% of our revenues in Fund 27 from federal grants and other. Last year it was 27%. We received quite a bit of additional Medicaid and school-based services last year that we don't know how much we'll get each year. We can kind of estimate from the year before, but we don't know exactly. And then the special revenue expenditures by object, salaries and benefits, 90%, services, 5%, transportation, 5%, and then supplies and equipment. It's not really 0%, but that's what it came up with. It's not very much in Fund 27. Because again, that's the excess cost. Then our debt balances, this is the debt that we have in Fund 38, beginning balance. We have 3 debt issues in Fund 38. We have the general obligation bonds, originally $1,650,000, state trust fund note from 2020. And I don't have the starting amount. I can get that. State trust fund finance operations, we had $6 million state trust fund last year. So the beginning balance for this year, $6,808,773. And then I'm showing the principal payments on each of those debts. For a total of $706,114, and then the difference between that and the rest of the expenditures is the interest is the remaining amount of the expenditures in Fund 38. So you can see the year end where the balance will be on each of those debts at year end, and total of $6,102,659. And then this is showing the Fund 38. The fund balance at the start of the year, revenues, expenditures, and then the ending fund balance, June 30th, 2026. And then the Fund 46 long-term capital improvement fund, we started the year with a beginning fund balance of $221,093, anticipating revenues of $6,500. For an ending fund balance of $227,593. This fund will be accessible in October of 2027. Then our Fund 50, our food service fund. Last year, we started with a fund balance and then, our revenues and expenditures. Exceeded, our revenues were less, so we had to pull that fund balance, so we have 0 fund balance now in Fund 50, that's how we started the year. And we're budgeting revenues and expenditures of 471,161. And this is Fund 50. We can calculate what we believe we're going to have coming in and going out, but it depends on how many meals are served and what types of meals are served. And then our Fund 80, our community service fund. The beginning fund balance 25-26 of 2,266,578. We're budgeting revenues of 365,000, expenditures of 450,000. And then an ending fund balance of 2,181,578. There are contingencies in there for if we needed to replace equipment, other things. If we reach that 450,000, then the difference will be pulled from the fund balance, because we do have a very large fund balance. in Fund 80. The all fund expenditures, the all funds expense for 25-26, 25,522,618. And then we subtract out those transfers, this year. Budgeted 2,526,654 for the net expense of $22,995 and $995,964. So this budget will result in an all funds levy of $15,821,549. Our fall property values were $2,417,654,699 for a district-wide mill rate of $6.34 per thousand.
Can I just ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
Fall property values, do those numbers, is that a combination of residential and commercial?
It is, yes.
Okay, total.
And
Okay.
it's TID out, so the tax incremental financing districts are pulled out of there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Because that money doesn't come to us.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
So then, this is showing a property tax bill and what it looks like. A is the fair market value of the property. Times the tax levy rate. So that's that $6.34 on this. This is an old tax bill, so that doesn't have that amount. Minus the school levy tax credit that is in the left-hand side. B is the school levy tax credit. Those are credits that the state gives to municipalities to put as a credit on the property tax bills for the schools. And then this equals the school levy on the property, and that's found in that column by C. So that's what our taxpayers will see. And then this is a projection of 26-27. You'll see we have the historical 23-24, 24-25, and then the year 25-26, the budget that it's just been presented to you, and then we're looking at 26-27. With a lot of assumptions, we're looking at having a negative fund balance. We will not have that operating referendum that the voters approved on there, so that falls off this year. And then I've put other reference budget documents as a link, and share that presentation with you for that. You're welcome. Will those show if you click on those? Okay, yeah, this is the budget in adoption format, the way the board will adopt the budget, so, this is. More details of what we just went over by each fund. And then I also attached the budget calendar with some updates there. It talks about, has listed the different funds that you'll be adopting, the budget that should be included. And then the revenue limit worksheet, if anyone is interested. Woo. And then there was another document attached to the board, to the budget hearing. And that, again, went over all of these things as well, and there's some additional information in there, just some notes, showing what the. Showing the tax levy, and then, what. The tax levy is, the mill rate. And then what the mill rate would be for the vouchers with the levy for the vouchers, 968,804 of that levy is due to the vouchers and special needs scholarships. So out of the $6.34 mill rate, 38 cents of that is the levy for the vouchers. And that's 6% of the levy. And then in that document also, there's some prior year comparisons that we've already covered, but just in a different format if anyone's interested. Any questions?
It's for members of the public, right?
Any questions at all from anyone?
Anyone online have questions, Mr. Martin?
Mr. Martin said he probably wouldn't have any.
Testament.
And there are no others, and I also made a note that they did have questions to put it in there, so they had lots of time.
Very good.
Right, well, thank you, Michelle, for a comprehensive overview of the 25-26 budget.
Okay, so with the
Yeah.
4.5 million for next year.
First, you have to state your name and address for the record.
I'm Jamie and 2238 Dunwood. For the $4.5 million that's like kind of sitting out there for next year. I know that this is about this year, right? But what's kind of the what are the talks or plans for the future? I guess that's just my question, yeah.
Yeah, so in order for our school district to be able to exceed the revenue limit, we would have to go back to the voters again for an operational referendum to try to fill that gap. So some of our conversation, I believe on November 19th, Baird will be here to kind of talk about what some of those options are going to be for us to get into consideration. With the increase in inflation based on the fact that we're about 1,000 students, the gap typically would be sitting somewhere around 3 million.
Okay.
And we had that $1.5 million referendum fall off. So you can kind of start to see where that the story lays a little bit. It's pretty transparent in that sense.
Yeah.
But it will be up to the voters of this community to determine.
Okay, and so it'll be catch up again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you.
I mean, to clarify, and that's a good question, yes, it's addressing a deficit.
Mhm.
We will be looking at how we address that
Yeah.
deficit, right? And so. Yeah, that remains to be seen, but I don't know that, I mean, is it inherently like, it would not be a repeat of the last time.
Yeah.
It will be a dramatically different scenario
Sure.
compared to the last time.
We're lucky to get ahead of it this time.
Yeah, exactly, because it's
Recognize that it's coming.
it's
Yeah.
there.
Yes,
Is there anything we can do before? But
Right,
But
correct.
now, right, we have to wait. Yeah.
And I think it can't be overstated that having really, really competent business leadership
Yeah.
helps us make wise planning ahead decisions
Sure.
now. And I'm really grateful to Michelle for the clarity you bring to this work.
So the decision around what to do next will likely happen sometime in December.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the next step would be. Figuring out how to address that.
Mhm.
And then eventually we'll get caught up and we'll be, is there like improvement plans then too? Like I guess that would be the next.
For buildings.
Yeah, for buildings and facility and all that stuff, yeah.
Yep, we're taking a look at all of those pieces because we definitely want to take a look at that, and I think some of the core pieces will be investigating with the board too around, and with community members is. Like, the goal would be to take a look at what is our enrollment, what's our projected enrollment, what sort of building size and shape and
Yeah,
configuration do we need to service students in our community, and how can we do that in the most cost effective way? Not just in the interim, but in the long term.
yeah, long term.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause it's scary to keep on putting, money into.
Yeah.
Nothing versus something, yeah.
That's
yeah,
right, that's right,
Yeah.
Yep, you got
yeah.
it.
Super, so, yeah.
Yeah.
I do just wanna speak, Jamie, to what I think I heard you say, and I might have been confused, but we are not catching up from a deficit that our budget created. We are constantly running against a deficit budget that the state creates by their funding model.
Sure.
So it's,
Yeah,
just to be clear, they haven't stayed consistent with inflation.
yeah,
So
so it's a plus the issues that from the past, so, well, right?
I would say that you could articulate it as a philosophical approach
Yeah.
at the state level. They want local fundraise. Local taxpayers to be deciding
Yeah,
on how effectively to fund our public schools
Yes.
rather than the state doing it. So it can look like catch up, but really it's baked into the model
mhm,
that the revenue limit from the state is inherently for most public schools in Wisconsin, that every public school I've seen, not enough,
not enough, yeah,
right? We're limited.
yeah,
Along with special education reimbursement,
sure.
those two things together are pretty.
So the upside is it invites local taxpayers to participate.
Yeah,
The downside is we're always struggling
Sure,
to figure out how to make ends meet.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, did you have anything you wanted to add to that, Phil, or? No? Yeah.
Those are.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I don't know, I was inspired, I went to my nephew's basketball game at Bayside, and I was like,
I've seen it.
Yes.
it's beautiful, yeah, and then I walk in here and I'm like, eh. So then I kind of wanted to see where we're at, and then I know, it's like, we have what we have.
Mhm.
And we know they got a lot of money from the community, so I was just
Oh, yeah.
curious as to, yeah.
Yeah, especially in particular in a community that doesn't have a lot of business in it, it's
Mhm.
mostly being held by local taxpayer
yeah.
dollars.
Uh-huh. I know, so when you look at all the taxes you pay versus what they pay, it's like, I feel like I'm paying a lot, I want to get a lot too. Yeah.
That's right,
Yeah.
yeah, right, absolutely.
So that was my inspiration.
Thank you.
Wow, I was like, that's pretty. I want JJ.
We all do.
Yeah.
Anyone else online?
All
Am
right,
I adjourned or do you adjourn?
we're adjourning the budget hearing and moving into our board meeting.
Okay. Do we need a brief break? 2-minute break? You need a 2-minute break? Let's take a 2-minute break and then we'll convene our regular board meeting. No apologies necessary.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said, sorry.
And you will, so thank you. Ready.
We're ready.
We're ready. Let me know when we're recording.
We are.
I will call to order this October 29, 2025 meeting of the Glendale-River Hill School District Board of Education. We will begin with our roll call. Chris Robinson.
Here.
Katie Avalos.
Here.
Karen Cronwell.
Here.
Danielle Bailey.
Here.
And I, Carla Pennington Cross, am here. At this time, if you wish, you may stand and join in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On to item 1D, agenda approval. Your motion,
I move to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Second.
motion by Chris Robinson, second by Karen Cronwell. All in favor? Aye. Agenda is approved. Item 1E, approval of board meeting minutes from the October 8th meeting.
Move to approve our October 8th board meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Any comments, proposed edits? All right, there's a motion to approve the October 8th, 2025 board meeting minutes. Motion is by Karen Cronwell, second by Chris Robinson.
Pause. Sorry, there is a typo, I think. School board meeting Wednesday, October 8th. Oh, just kidding, sorry. I don't know, it says approval of board meeting minutes 10/8/2025
Yes,
under E.
yes,
These are the October 8th, 2025. Aren't they?
right, we are asking to,
We're approving.
No, I'm looking at in the minutes.
I see where
It says October 8th minutes, but then it's 9/24. I think it's just a
where does
typo.
it say?
E.
Oh, I see what you're saying. In the minutes itself, it says we approved the same day.
I think it's just, yeah, just a copy and paste situation.
So it should be 9/24.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, in E, it should say 9/24.
Sorry.
Oops.
It's-
Got it. Anyone object to that? Edit? Most sensible. All right, all in favor of approving the board meeting minutes for October 8th? Aye.
I'll abstain.
Danielle Bailey abstains because she wasn't present. Motion carries, minutes are approved. Moving on to item 1F, meeting grounding, which Karen Cronwell has kindly agreed to lead.
I did. So it's a night where we're talking about finance, and one of the things I thought was important to understand is why K-12 education is important, right? Like, why is it that we spend our money on it? Of personal importance, it is a foundation of lifelong learning. K-12 education provides essential literacy, numeracy, and problem-solving skills that underpin lifelong learning and adaptability, personal growth and confidence. It promotes self-efficacy, creativity, and emotional development, which enhance overall well-being and independence. Opportunities and economic mobility. Strong K-12 foundation is able to provide a higher likelihood to attend higher ed, access stable careers, and achieve upward social mobility. Health and well-being. Education correlates strongly with improved health outcomes, healthier lifestyles, and longer life expectancy. Economic importance. The workforce development is a profound benefactor or beneficiary, thank you, of K-12 schools. It is because we supply the foundational skills that employers demand in a knowledge-based economy, including collaboration and digital literacy. Higher earnings across the board. Each additional level of educational attainment increases lifetime earnings and potential and reduces unemployment rates. Innovation and productivity. Educated populations drive innovation, entrepreneurship, and technological progress, fueling national economic growth. Reduce public costs. Investment in education decrease long-term costs associated with unemployment, healthcare, social assistance, and also imprisonment. Societal importance, civic engagement and democracy. The more educated we are, the more likely we are to have a democratically participating and civically minded community. Social cohesion and equity. Inclusive schools promote empathy, respect, and understanding across diverse groups, supporting social unity and reducing inequality. public health and safety, higher ed payment is associated with lower crime rates and improved community health outcomes. And a sustainable future, which means, we are able to continue as a country, as a community, as a state. Education empowers our students to address global issues like climate change, inequality, and sustainability, but at a variety of levels that keep us all knit together as that human framework that we all are. And that is why we should all be mindful of the children that are at the center of this conversation and how we fund our educational communities.
And this is from a variety of sources.
Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for the reminder of why we do this. Okay. Moving on to item 2A, public comments at this time. Any visitor may speak on any non-agenda item you wish, or non-agenda subject. Anyone online? All right, and we move on to item 4A. Strategic plan, whole child growth and success. Item 3 has nothing, so we're gonna move on to recognition of a couple local business partners.
All right. The Wisconsin Association of School Boards allows member schools to nominate different businesses in the community that have provided outstanding support. Our board voted to recognize 2 businesses this year. What? Oh, they were? Oh.
Who are you looking for, the brick? Should I wander around and look?
Yeah.
Keep going and.
All right, I'll do Glendale Heights first then.
Okay.
Okay. It's different than I would have done, but okay. We'll do that. Okay, we want to recognize Glendale Heights Child Care Center for its support of the district schools year after year. Glendale Heights was honored in this year's 2025 Business Honor Roll program, which recognizes, like I said, local school district business partners by providing resources and or additional learning opportunities for students and staff. Glendale Heights is a strong supporter of the Glendale-River Hills School District and has donated annually to Fall Festival, provides more than $75,000 in childcare discounts to district educators over the last 5 years, and collaborated with district educators to provide academic and social emotional support for our students. We know for the students coming out of Glendale Heights that they are ready to learn, excited about learning, and that they care about each other. And this means a lot to me because my daughter went there for quite a while. On behalf of the Glendale-River Hills School District, we're honored to recognize and celebrate Glendale Heights for their generous support in preparing our district children, community's children, to be tomorrow's leaders. Thank you.
We should.
Did someone get a picture?
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
Of all of
Does the
us.
whole Glendale Heights?
Yes, I was like, everybody.
Is everybody in?
Everybody.
Come on,
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
Katie's like, I have to.
And not to mention our most current.
Sister.
Attend guys.
You're like, you won't. Michelle, take the picture.
I don't see the brickworks out there.
Here, you can say it next time, right here, hold on the side with your phone. There you go. That's it.
Yeah. I'm good.
I'm gonna stick that shit around.
And the
Okay, we'll take 2 pictures.
Just keep flashing. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We all were looking.
Jill, do you want to jump in? Congratulations.
She won't.
Thank you for allowing us to be part of the community.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for everything that you give. And I do not see the folks from, I don't know who was here from the break, but I
Does he
see.
wanna table this and go back to it if they show up?
They show up.
Table it to the end of the meeting in case they show up.
We could, yeah, but there's no one out there.
Yeah, well, like,
I know I saw them earlier,
yeah.
and I was kind of like doing one of these, they were checking out stuff, they were waiting for a minute.
What do you wanna do, Anna? Should we could table it,
We table it to a point where if they come back, we could just
we could pause.
Yep. Yep, let's do that, just, I would wait for them to move it.
Yeah, so that's, we'll just need a technical motion.
To what?
Motion to table the remainder of, item 4A to. Actually, it's, what do you call it? Motion to postpone to later in the meeting.
To later. Yeah. I move to postpone the remainder of item 4A to later in the meeting.
Their second,
second.
all in favor?
I,
All right. Let's move on then, item 5, there's nothing on item 5 of the agenda, moving on to item 6A. Recommended approval of revenues, expenditures and payroll for September 2025.
Okay. Yeah. These reports are for the month of September. Revenues and expenses by fund. This is, as the board has not adopted any budget that was presented tonight, we're looking at what was approved in June.
Okay.
For those comparisons. So, that is what is showing on here. Actual expenses, revenues to date, fiscal year to date in Fund 20, in Fund 10, 150,938. Expenditures to date, 3,074,717, and then our special projects fund, very minimal. Actual revenues, $1,789, and expenditures of 220. Special education fund, revenues to date, 519,881, and expenditures of 517,053. Our non-referendum debt fund, we had revenues of $986 and expenditures of 8,123. Capital expansion fund, revenues of $2,291, no expenditures. Food service fund, $38,128 in revenue, and then expenses, $2,298, and that was through September, so we have paid the October bill, but.
Well, it's right behind you.
Yeah.
You can breathe and everything.
Okay, capital expand, well, we just talked about that, food service, community service fund, revenues of $79,029, and then expenditures of $43,745. And then the details are listed in the link. Fiscal year 26 accounts payable disbursement checks. September 2025 checks issued for payment through accounts payable totaled $780,106.46. The report attached lists all of the checks issued through accounts payable during the month. If there's any questions on those. Okay. The fiscal year 26 summary of pay, benefits, and disbursements for September. And those are showing the comparison, the gross payroll subtotal for September was $886,799.41. Our payroll benefit subtotal $326,787.27. And then other benefits, we had HRA payments of $56,994.80. And then retiree insurance payments, $18,908.48. for a total of salary benefit costs of $1,289,489.96. And then AP checks that were not for, not out of payroll liabilities, those total $208,702.33. For a total for September of $1,498,192.29. You can see the previous months were a comparison to see how we're running. In September, balance sheet, our cash balances. The general checking account had balance of $782,736. Payroll had a balance of $2,628.31. Our petty cash, $258. Our investments in WISC, $5,173,248.42. And then the money market in US Bank of $1,236,887.23. And then there's also a link here to the budget calendar with updates.
Check. It's so nice to see all the.
Any questions?
Chris,
No, thank you.
Katie? Karen?
I am just gonna share some of the insight you shared from my emails. So I had asked, just looking at everything, like for instance, how did Michelle feel about the changes that we've made with Fund 80? And she feels like it's really been a positive thing, and we actually going to start not only reaping the benefits of utilizing Fund 80 in a more expanded way to reflect like the community access points that we have facilitated for everybody, but also to start to see like a return on investment shift back to Fund 10 for some of the things that are appropriate. And so I think, Michelle, if you could expand, I didn't tell you I was gonna do this too, I'm sorry, but.
Oh, that's great.
But I feel like, that could be, it's good to see someone who clearly understands how to utilize the funds and the systems to really benefit the school district and our taxpayers ultimately to make sure we're utilizing things wisely.
Yeah, so as far as the energy savings and cost savings, bringing money back to Fund 10, we're going to be working with Data Wrangler. They are going to be putting like a monitor on us. Yeah.
Writing over it.
Yeah, they're gonna be monitoring our electrical use.
Oh.
So to see, 24 hours a day where we're using, where it goes up and down, right? And then they'll be meeting monthly with our lead custodians and myself and anyone else who's interested. Talking to us about how to, where there's potential energy savings by seeing, something that seems unusual. Another thing they'll be doing is comparing our energy use with our activity calendar. That we have, someone using the gym, someone using the pool, and they'll be able to give us an amount that we can bill to our community use, because this is being used for the community.
Yep.
So then bring those funds back into Fund 10.
It's nice. Danielle?
Beta. Okay.
Yeah, questions? I've got nothing, other than to say, I've been meaning to say in open session, Carmen, it's really nice to have a treasurer who's engaged in doing treasurer work. From the perspective of the board, it just gives me a sense of confidence that we're tapped in as a board. I know I can call you. If Michelle's busy, I can run things by you rather than hassling Michelle with inane questions. I think we're all sharing this feeling about each other. So I want to thank you for leading into this role, which I've not observed necessarily before in my time on the board. So appreciate that. And I know it's a lift. I know you were uncomfortable taking on this role.
It's a growth opportunity.
And I see you growing in confidence and, it's great. So thank you. And I have no questions for you. So,
I would just like to add to with Fund 80 also in terms of using thing wisely is expanding our athletics programs and after school activities as well as YAC has always been open to. But really thinking about the fact that those are open to any Glendale resident, whether they're homeschooled or if they attend private or charter school or a school outside of our district or open enrollment. And so that allows us to also use that money in that way. And I think in addition to that, then the ongoing work that we're gonna need to look at too is developing a fee structure so that even if we waive fees for our people who are renting because they service our students, we can take a look at charging that back because we do have a large fund balance in that area as a way to offset some of the work that's being done or the needs that are in Fund 10.
Okay.
So I think those are also considerations that we need to make in addition to the work around data.
Yeah, I didn't know why it was open to the public or to. Do they advertise it publicly?
It's part of the information about fancy, yeah.
Any questions from online? I know Mr. Martin is with us.
No comments.
Anyone here? All right, we need a motion.
I move to approve revenues, expenditures and payroll for September 2025.
Second.
All right, there's a motion by Danielle Bailey, second by Karen Cronwell. Any further discussion from the board? All right, all in favor of the motion to approve revenues, expenditures and payroll for September 2025?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstained? And the motion passes. Moving on to item 6B, gifts, grants and bequests.
Through this week, the board is presented with 2 donations to recognize. A donation of $300 from the Kiwanis North Shore Foundation for students to attend the Drone Academy. And then a donation of mums valued at $644 from Hayden's Wholesale Incorporated.
Is that a lot of months?
That's a lot of.
Or is it, or months just?
The offices were full of flowers.
Oh,
For our educators and it's beautiful.
Oh, that's so neat.
Okay.
All right, so we've got 2 donations that the. Or are we approving? We would be making, well, we would need to approve the gifts because of their amounts. So we need a motion.
I move to approve the donations from the Kiwanis North Shore Foundation and from Hayden's Wholesale with thanks from the board.
Second.
That was Chris. All right, any discussion, Katie?
Pretty amazing gifts. It's really nice to like publicly see them to be able to recognize it. Yep.
Garden?
Just thanks.
Thank you.
Can I send thank you cards on behalf of the board?
You could, or you could, yeah.
Is that okay?
I probably will too. But I don't have to do it on behalf of the board.
No, I just meant, well. Okay.
Yeah, we should, yeah,
That'd be nice.
that's a nice idea.
Okay,
You wanna do it?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's why I was offering.
go for it. I would like to thank Danielle for. Really generous.
No,
Very nice.
I'd like to thank you all for your generosity. We're not saying sorry anymore, we're saying thank you.
This is an example of one of those board agenda items. It's gonna add once in a while, 5 to 10 minutes, to our meeting, and we're gonna sit here mooning over our wonderful community. But I love doing this, and I don't ever want it to go on a consent agenda. I want us to be able to name and celebrate community members who give into our schools, because I don't think we've created space for that. And it just helps us feel good, about all the things businesses and individuals in our community are doing. So, yeah, love it. Chris?
No, just grateful for the donations, the generosity.
Anyone else? Online? Okay, there is a pending motion to approve the gifts, the donations from the Kiwanis North Shore Foundation and from Hayden's Wholesale Inc. as set forth in the attachment to the agenda. Motion by Karen Cronwell, second by Chris Robinson, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? The motion passes. All right, before we move into the budget and tax levy, I get the feeling the brick is not coming back.
Okay.
So
Do it.
should we go ahead and at least say what we need to say?
Yeah,
And
so okay, should we record it and so we can send it to them?
It's all being recorded.
Sorry.
Excellent idea.
Big words, the one. It's totally going on a bingo card.
Hold on while I manage this meeting. All right, going back to conclude item 4A, recognition of local business partners. Back to you, Chris.
Okay. The Glendale-River Hills School District School Board is recognizing the BRIC for its support of our schools. The BRIC was honored as part of the Wisconsin Association of School Boards 2025 Business Honor Roll Program to recognize local school district business partners that support our schools. The BRIC is a strong supporter of our district and has hosted a variety of fundraising events, sponsored the Glendale-River Hills Foundation Spring Fling, provided financial donations, and of course, delicious food donations. On behalf of the Glendale-River Hills School District, we're honored to recognize and celebrate the BRIC for their generous support in preparing our community's children to be tomorrow's leaders.
Maybe that's what. I have to take something.
Any comments from board members?
I would just echo, I mean, they really are an incredibly strong contributor to a lot of things in our community, and it's great that they came back, right? They reopened that business because it
That's
was a
right.
family business that had, that they brought back into fruition, and they've really, I think lived out their mission, right? Like, we're very
Yeah.
fortunate to have such invested community members and businesses.
Absolutely. And I would add that I think Glendale Heights, you would be packed to the brim with students, whether or not you donated into our school district. I think the same is true for the BRIC. They're always cram packed, so it's just generosity that and commitment to community that brings these donations and this commitment to our schools, so very grateful. Open. And purple you. My BTS hearts.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's got some good talks.
Okay, anyone else on this topic? It is 7:05. I propose, unless there is an objection, that we take like a 3 to 5 minute break before we go into the budget and tax levy, so we can be fresh. Anyone opposed? We've been going for about an hour. Okay. Okay, sure. Well, yes. No one.
Yeah, we didn't officially like.
We are now.
So we can just go.
What we did, if there's no objection, I did it correctly by Roger's rules. Who is it?
Call it that.
Not yet.
It's just.
Are we back on the record?
Yeah.
All right, we're back in session. Moving on to item 6C, the 25-26 budget and tax levy.
So in your board packet, is the budget in adoption format. This is the same budget that we reviewed in the hearing. A couple of things to note. The responses to some questions. In Fund 10, we had a question about student activity income being budgeted as 0. Student activities, it's been very minimal, that activity in our revenues, and that's on the first page. 270 school activity income.
Okay.
And we're recording those now, the ones that are open to the community in Fund 80, and then others in Fund 21. So, the activity taking place, as I said, is minimal, so that line was not budgeted. Interest on investments. That was mistakenly not budgeted there. So, we will be receiving interest on investment, so that will probably offset something maybe that won't come in as we had planned. So, and we can look at that again as we update our budget in spring.
Okay, so currently it's 1,192 budgeted there.
Yes,
Okay.
should have been more, not as, I wouldn't have budgeted it as high as what we received, because with our economy, we don't know what is going to happen to interest rates.
So you wanna leave it as is and be surprised?
Mhm.
Yes, got it. Pleasantly surprised.
That's correct.
Got it.
340 payments for services. This is this line is for our open enrollment. We do have fewer open enrolled in students this year. Last year we had, I think 10 or 15 eighth grade students open enrolled in that we no longer have, and as we didn't take in new students, those dropped off and we have a lower number. And then some families that were open enrolled in actually moved into our district, so we have them as residents.
Oh, okay.
So that's lowered the numbers as well. 780, that is our federal. There was a question on that as well, and that's on the second page. So our federal sources are in 700s. You can see that GPI special projects grants that included ESSER, and we used up the rest of our ESSER funds last year. So that is budgeted at a lower amount this year. And then 780 other federal revenue through the state. This is Medicaid and school-based services, and this in Fund 10, it's when they go back on prior year cost reports and see that we should have been paid more. Don't know the full Medicaid formula, but so it's really, it's not something we can estimate, estimating how much we're gonna get.
So you're just using the same number as last year?
I'm using a much lower number last year.
780. 780, right?
I think you're using the same number that was in the budget for last year rather than the,
Mhm.
right, okay, got it.
And then, yeah. Those were kind of the changes. One other thing too, in expenditures, there have been some changes from. What we're looking at in the budget for adoption is in the function format. So, like undifferentiated curriculum, that line would include salaries, benefits, supplies, all of those things. When we look at the budget to actual monthly, we're looking at the objects like salaries, benefits, supplies, those types of things. So there are changes from previous years in here, and then even some true up from the budget that was presented in June.
Yeah.
And that's, as we've had staffing changes, people change their benefits, we don't know when we're posting, what type of, benefits they will need or select. Those things, and then I've also went through and made changes to code staff to something more of what they're doing. Are they teaching? Are they coaching? What are, more refined or defined, I should say. So I've made some changes there. We've also changed some of the things, again, we were doing this last year too, but technology, putting that in a 290,000 function. That is higher this year. We have an E-rate server project that we're doing, and we will be getting a reimbursement for, I believe, 60% of that from E-rate funds. So that's higher this year because of that. And that's the main change on there. Interfund transfers, we're budgeting very similar to what last year's actual came in at. There were some slight changes from the budget in June, and then also what we had looked at the workshop, and then what was posted in the paper. The main differences were due to salary and benefits, once everybody was hired and we had all the insurance selections and those dollar amounts in there. And then also with open enrollment, I had originally budgeted open enrolled out students at a higher amount. Higher numbers, I should say, so that at one point revenues were higher than what they came in at, and part of that was the resident count. But that also reduced our expenditures because we were not paying for students open enrolled out. Districts. And those are the main changes. Not many change. Fund 27. You would see a difference. They changed some numbers that you could use. I'm trying to look and see if it's here. I'd mentioned at the budget hearing about the Wisconsin Uniform Financial Accounting Standards. Each year they come out with, they make changes to be more in line with federal and for their reporting to the federal government. So they make some changes here and there with account numbers, and we have to follow suit. And one of the changes was there's multiple things here, but if you look on, I don't know what page, it's the page with non-program transactions in Fund 27.
Program.
The second from the last page, yeah.
Or 10, or 30, or 90.
Yeah. So we're looking at, the 430,000 instructional service payments. So last year we had expenditures of 527,912. There's a few things that changed. One, the district is no longer contracting with Americus for some of our paras, and we've hired them. So now those staff, it's a lower amount, what we're paying, and then we've moved that into the 158,000 function for what they're doing. And then there was a change with the account numbers. So the substitutes that we would have in Fund 27 are also were required to be moved this year to be recorded under the function of if someone was employed, what we would have their code be. So they're in the 150,000 function as well. So that's why there's that large change in those amounts from last year's events. Nothing's standing out in Fund 38. We paid our first principal. We will be paying our first principal payment. So that increased that amount last year. Expenditures were 425,329, and this year they'll be 1,087,275. Yeah, and other than that, most everything is the same. No major changes. So the board would be adopting the budget and then the corresponding tax levy, setting the tax levy to be, and that's attached to the board documents as well.
And the total levy amount,
$15,326,039.29. Is that correct?
Check.
That's the
Look
one.
back in, I got a
that's
lot
the
of-
number I see.
That's the number.
Is it? Okay.
Total levy and the bolded, that's the portion of the district line within the municipality.
See, so I had a different amount.
Is it 15, 20?
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
the entire school district levy.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there's two documents here. One is for the city of Glendale.
And one is the River Hills.
So we should be, you're asking us to approve the total levy of $15,821,549.
Yes, with be 1,000,000. You can find the fund 38. $1,085,513 of that being fund 38.
Do we need to specify
We don't need
that?
to specify.
I don't would.
Yeah. So could you say that number again?
1,085,513.
Would be specifically for Fund 38.
Yes, and the general fund, fund 10 would be 14,736,036.
Sorry, could you say that again? 14,000,000.
736,036. For a total of 15,821,549.
Okay, so it looks like this would be two, I think in the past we've done two separate motions. One is to adopt the budget and the second is for the tax levy. And in the past, we've done it real clean where we've stated the numbers for the record for our motion on the tax levy. That makes sense?
Yep, so just so we have the numbers clear. For Fund 38, it's $1,085,513. And for Fund 10, it's $14,736,036. For a total levy of $15,821,549.
736,3. We want to get these numbers right. Yep. Okay, so I would propose we start with the budget. If someone wishes to make a motion, we can make the motion and then have any further discussion or questions, etc.
Is there a particular way we need to do it?
I think it would be a motion to adopt the
Do we name
the 2025-26 budget for adoption. That is what we're adopting.
right, do we name the price, the cost? Or just,
I think we would just name the document that's attached. Okay.
I think so.
alright, so then I move to adopt the 2025-2026 budget for adoption as presented on this night.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion or questions? We'll start with Karn.
No, actually, I thank you very much for the clarity and the consistent presentation. It was. For what it is, it was an easy read.
Danielle?
No questions, but I guess I'd like just to, again, express gratitude and that this may feel like rubber stamping, but that's not actually what's happening. You put a lot of work into educating us and, answering our questions and kind of getting us up to, getting us into a good place. And so this is a result of just that confidence that we have and our familiarity now. And it feels very nice.
Yeah. Thank you. And I would say I had a list of some last minute questions and you just answered them all. That feels so good. In particular, I was wondering about some of the shifting of monies, and what I hear you saying is you're just kind of shifting money in the way you accounted so it more accurately reflects what people are doing. And so I really appreciate that. It just feels good when I'm asking questions. It's like I'm asking questions that you're answering. That tells me my head's not lost in space. So that's great. And also tells me we've learned what we need to learn to understand better what you're saying. One sort of general question I've always wondered about and never fully understand, these line items with all their numbers, this is like the DPI model, right? Or the WUFA model. These aren't categories we've created in-house, right? These numbers, this is like the DPI statewide system that public schools use.
Right. And if you look at one of the check histories, you'll see these numbers. There may be further detail, but these are the required numbers.
Okay. Beautiful. All right, thank you so much. Appreciate the clarity. And I should just say too, I went to last year's budget for adoption. Thanks to Chris, who called me with some questions. I compared it to this year's budget. It was just great to have 2 years of matching data that all made sense and to be able to track, which I've tried to do in prior years, to be able to track and to see where changes were and everything just made sense and just so happy to be able to do that. It really reflects a lot of work. So, Chris?
First of all my questions were answered, so thank you for that, and thank you for the clarity. I feel like the budget aligns with our priorities and reflects, continually looking for cost savings and efficiencies. While dealing with all of the compliance issues and, lack of support from certain governmental entities, so thank you.
Katie?
No, I mean, just like they said, you answered all my questions. I always struggle with the budgeting and trying to understand, but I feel like I understand it as well as I'm capable of.
Okay, any members of the public? Anyone online? Angela?
I spent a lot of time thinking that.
All right.
Say what she said.
We have pending a motion to adopt the 25-26 budget as presented in the attachment to the agenda and as presented by Michelle. Motion by Karen Cromwell, second by Katie Avalos, all in favor. Oh, do we need a roll call vote for this?
You don't need it, but.
Sure, we could, sure.
Just- That's like. I'm sorry, it's, maybe that's.
No, it's fine.
I think.
Don't apologize, so-
That roll call.
All right, Chris Robinson.
Aye.
Katie Avalos.
Aye.
Karen Cromwell.
I,
Danielle Bailey.
Aye.
I can say your name.
So can I apparently, so.
You wanna say mine?
Carla Pennington.
Yeah, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. All right, moving on to the tax levy. Karen, would you like to make that motion?
I move that we levy $14,736,036 to fund 10.
360, right? Or is it 36?
36.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Say that again.
Sorry. I wrote it down.
$736,036 to fund 10. And $1,085,513 to fund 38. For a total levy of $15,821,549.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I would actually like to point out that this was not only an incredibly mindful budget process, but when the conversation came up about the difference in the mill rate, you held very strongly, I think we all felt very strongly to the value of we only leverage what we need. And so we don't leverage money that we don't need to leverage in order to be able to have a healthy district, which there are other funds that we could have looked at that, you know, we chose not to do. So this is a very community conscious, tax conscious action on our part.
Thanks for speaking. Anyone else? Chris, Katie, Danielle, Carla? No? All right. There's a motion by Karen Cromwell, second by Danielle Bailey to levy the specified amounts that Karen said. I won't repeat them for a total levy of $15,821,549. All in favor? Aye. Oh, roll call vote. Danielle Bailey. Aye. Karen Cromwell.
I
Katie Avalos.
Aye.
Chris Robinson.
Aye.
And Carla Pennington Cross votes aye. Motion passes.
thanks.
And I'm gonna pull my prerogative as president and just say for the record, I wanna say at the end of all this, like, you actually said when I was gonna say that, yeah.
About it.
That, and it didn't actually feel like a rubber stamp, but, I don't know if well, you all know, cause you're always here. But this budget reflects just mountains of work, even just from the board. I mean, we've had touches on this budget so many times this year. I made a list of it. I mean, even just from and there's a huge amount of work happening in-house with our experts, but we got audit results in March. We, in April, made board-based decisions on fees and costs for this year. In May, we reviewed the preliminary budget ahead of our preliminary budget vote, which was a first for me and wonderful. In June, we voted on that preliminary budget. In September, to load up our work, Anna and Michelle led a workshop, so we know what we're doing and what we're looking at, and gave us a chance to ask questions and learn. And our business office, you know, I keep thinking that the work doesn't look like it's part of the budget, but as Chris mentioned, I mean, the KPI work we did, the strategic planning work, all drives the budget, right? I mean, it's all linked in together, and we did a ton of work around that. And then I think the invisible piece that we don't see is like the year and a half of recovery work that Anna and Michelle and the team have led. And so I want to name the people who are doing it in our business office, because they don't really get credit, right, in the day-to-day. So it's Adam Budnick, Michelle, obviously, Tracy Beaver, and Betsy Kavan, right? I think that's the team that has just pounded through the last year and a half, so we can be here with these really clean numbers, what's coming. So I'm sure I speak for all of us, and just like at the beginning of that year and a half ago, it just took courage to join us, to take this job and to lean into this work. So, this is the second budget you've put together for us, but it's the first one that you've truly owned, because you knew finally what the numbers were and you had a clean audit. So I just want to give that shout out to everyone, and to the kind of flat participation I think we're building here, that shows how we can all dream and learn and grow together. So yay, thank you. Okay, moving on to meeting closing, board preview and planning. What's coming up?
There's just a couple short things coming up. Well, today our K4 students had families come in already, and we will be through Friday holding parent caregiver conferences at both Glen Hills and Parkway. And then on 11/6, there is a high school parent 101 night at Nicolay. Oh, great. So that's coming up as well for our 8th grade families, and that's really, it's a little quiet right now.
Yes.
Anybody who works in education knows I should not.
You can't even think it.
No.
And then, in terms of possible planning ahead, Karin, you had raised an interesting question in your email about food insecurity issues. And so that's something we can think about, whether the school board can play a role in.
Well, actually,
I can see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I will be working, I've worked with our student services team, and Kelly Waistelacki has helped assist me with this as well, and also received some resources from other superintendents in the local area. So we've identified all of our food banks that are within our kind of close proximity to our region, so that families can access those. I have an emergency meeting with the foundation to help support that. Our families would have the likely, if the foundation agrees to it, which it seems like they're amiable to, but I will know for sure once they vote on it tomorrow night. There would be the capacity for people to donate via PayPal or via their Infinite Campus portal to help support other families. So what I would like to push out on Friday after that vote is kind of a side by side. If we have families who have needs that need to be supported, this is where you go and this is how you can access. And then families who want to help support, this is where you can lend your support.
Awesome.
And so that our community is covered, because we do serve such a diverse range of economic variants, right? And so making sure that people feel like they have that. I also do want to, and I'll serve this with our foundation tomorrow night, also make some considerations around some of our hourly employees who also probably receive some state benefits as well, and making sure that we are have a mechanism in place to help take care of them. So if an additional need arises there, I will certainly tap the board for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
My daughter volunteers at Nourish MKE on Wednesdays and already today.
Yeah.
Up
Oh,
there.
yeah, what's that, kinship, is that another?
Kinship is another one, yeah, that-
Right.
Yeah, they're very close.
You know, I think there's a lot of ways families can give. It's nice if we can keep it local, but also if they're, you know, people may want to give a lot of different ways.
Like having food at meetings and events too might be.
Yeah.
Communal.
And we just have to be very cautious about the delivery of food within the course of the school day, just because of the
Oh.
USDA
Yeah,
guidelines, so.
right.
I know like some parents have said, like, can we purchase snacks for us to give out to kids? I can't, like, we can't honor that piece of it, but what we can honor is. Helping to have donations, and then we would have a mechanism for families to reach out and, get support with gift cards to grocery stores. too,
Right.
So that they also can purchase food that their family likes to eat as well.
Yeah.
I think we did a lot of that during COVID, and I think you and I were part of a shared conversation when I was still on the foundation before I was on the board. About how best to do that, because there are cultural considerations,
Yeah.
getting out of the food bank model and getting into the gift card model, so people can shop where they want to and stuff, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
thinking about that and planning ahead on that, it's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, we'll also put some stuff around housing as well, because that also could be an area, that strikes families who maybe won't be receiving paychecks as well.
Brutal, brutal. Okay, and then the other thing on my list is to, now that we have a levy and our budget, I'll try to bring a resolution to the next board meeting around voucher transparency. I know you guys met with the city and they're amenable to adding the line, but I still think it would be a good idea for us to have a resolution.
Sure.
If we choose to pass it, and then we could also, I could share it with fellow districts, school boards, and see if they would similarly.
I think Michelle would be happy to prepare the specific numbers, because if we're going to do it with Glendale, we'd have to parcel out the property value and income that's generated from Ward 1 and River Hills, so there's a little bit of math that needs to happen.
Yeah, and I'll definitely run with whatever resolution I draft, I'll run it back, past both of you, of course, before we get into the agenda. Thank you. Anyone else have any planning or preview?
I did two things before I forget about it. The fee schedule that you brought it up a couple times, and I think we do want to make sure that we get it up on the agenda so that we do. Not let it fall through the cracks, and I think it's a great, if nothing else, it's a great way for us to be able to have a clear way to track why we're utilizing fund aid transfers. And also there may be appropriate time to see, maybe you should pay. And the other one was November 8th, that weekend of November 8th. I have not looked carefully yet, but I do believe I might be available to go to that conference.
Oh,
It's on a
the
week.
Which one?
legislative conference?
Yeah, the fall
Oh.
conference for WASB. And it's much easier to go on a weekend than it is during the school week, so I will be in touch, but if anyone else were potentially interested in going or available, then we could try to coordinate.
If I'm gonna be at the Wisconsin Junior Open chess, I think. That's a weekend, yeah.
That would be in
I won't be able to.
Florida. The Nicolay Strong Summit would be the other thing that we could, I've registered,
I have
you
to.
registered.
I'll be there.
So I don't know if anyone else is going, I can't go, so we don't have to notice it.
I would notice it just in case.
Yeah, could we?
Yep, sure.
Okay.
That's on are you going to the one on the 12th?
Or isn't the
If they're
15, 6, 14?
12th, 13th, and 15th.
There you go.
I'm planning to go to all of them
Yeah.
if I can.
Okay.
Too.
But we could tag team.
If we,
You know. There's a member of the Nicolay board who I'm in constant contact with, who is also attending.
Are they video?
A couple of
recording
days.
this out, you know?
They won't record their.
My husband is on the Nicolay. Full disclosure, that's what I'm.
Power couple.
And then,
Chris,
oh, sorry.
just that I would probably go to the legislative, but would it even be worth it to have two people go? Are there breakout sessions or is it all?
I sent the email today, and you can hop into it and take a look at it, and if you're interested in attending, if you wanna just send that to Diana can register you.
Sure.
I mean, I think it's always nice to have two people, because then you might have heard
Also just
different
like
things
talk
that
about stuff, like.
bounce off,
it's
right, like process what you're learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
the other thing that's coming up is this Marburg lecture on November 14th
Mhm.
about mental health, right?
Yeah.
Which looks to be it's an economist talking about,
Yeah,
Mental
why
health.
should we,
yeah,
we
I-
should invest in it to make sure.
right, right. So I'm gonna attend that. I think it might be, I've been to a couple of these Marburg lectures. These are, that she's like a leading
Mhm.
researcher. It's really interesting to get an academic perspective on things that we kind of deal with in the nuts and bolts. So if you can make it, I would encourage you to do that. To see an academic talk about academic things. All right, anything else? One last motion and someone wishes to make it.
Move to adjourn.
Second. Motion by Karen Cromwell, second by Katie Avalos. Roll call vote on adjournment? No. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned and it's 7:45.
Wow.
Because never once did I say we're ahead of schedule.
Yeah, you didn't say that, just like I can say it.